he does have a question with that.
Okay, with the advancement of online shopping, what's better, shopping online or shopping at a store?
That's a pretty darn good question. I'm going to say, especially with the day and age we are living in, take advantage of both. And what I mean is, like, go online and, order your cigars that you want to smoke daily, stuff like that. You can probably get them a little bit cheaper and a little bit bigger bulk. But you don't want to neglect your stores, because your stores are going to be able to introduce you to stuff you've never seen online. You go in there, they have tons of different brands you can look at, pick you up a couple of them. And especially if you're, a seasoned smoker or a newbie cigar smoker, being in the humidor itself, people will teach you things that you never knew before. So just, sit down, have a conversation with them, have a smoke with them. But don't neglect your brick and mortar stores by any means. Go see these guys. You'll learn a lot from them, and you'll probably have a good time just sitting down and smoking with them. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I can't argue any of that wisdom.
I definitely get my cigars from both. I do like going into the humidor and hearing what's new and talking to the people working the shop, hanging out in the lounge, that sort of thing. So it's definitely a part of the experience that I enjoy.
Can you get to talk to people like Mike, who know more about cigars than I'll probably ever know?
Do I get to talk about this conversation?
You absolutely do.
You're all welcome to chime in.
We would love to hear your opinion.
Buy all your stuff from Roma Craft. That's what I'm hearing.
No, we don't sell it. We don't sell it. Yeah,
direct.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not how that plays.
So there's this kind of leads into a question about, for the guys in Atlanta, right? So I think from a manufacturer, and this kind of goes into so I think it's important to have a relationship with your tobacconist. And the challenge with that is a couple things. There are less and less people like Penny, and there are more and more people who are all about kind of the experience, volume, cigar bars, and these other types of things. So what I see, which is kind of like, you need all of them, right? You need, like, for example, we have a liquor store here in town. We don't sell to them, but it's called Specs, right? You can go into any Specs. They're probably $2. They have a cash price that they do. They basically, if you pay with a debit card, it's cheaper than if you pay with a credit card. There's no one in there to help you, but you can definitely go in there and get things inexpensive. And I'm talking about, you can get, Padron Anniversario series. You can go in there and get, I've seen, Flying Pigs in there. I've seen it all. Like, and they buy big and they have everything. But you're not going to get any kind of service. There's no one there to engage with you, to talk to you about, let me take you on this journey of, maybe you started off with flavored and now you want something a little bit lighter, but you kind of want to get off, out of that into more traditional types of cigars. What's a Dominican Puro? What's a Honduran Puro? What's a, Nicaraguan? And take you on that journey to find out, okay, well, I like this one better from this region. Okay, well, let's go into that and then explore, here's here's a cigar that's got, Ometepe or Jalapa or Esteli Ligero, or this has, something out of Don Lee and kind of its origins, and, something that, maybe like Christian or his dad are doing, with CLE in that region, or something that, Ray Oleas is doing out of the Dominican Republic or Hochi or something like that. Right. So, so there's definitely a conversation piece that needs to happen. And the problem is, when you kind of go in and you're online and you go into some of these groups, people will rag on you if it's not, ultra premium, or they'll make fun of you if it's, whatever. Right. So it's like, so if you're looking for help and you're looking for education, realistically, the tobacconist is the one that should be able to kind of help guide you through that, right? But so many people are really concerned and worried about the right label and the right band and the right whatever, and so that is difficult. The other side of that is if you go into your local tobacconist and you said, hey, do you have a brand like Romacraft? And they go, who? What's that? I don't, I saw Skip and Mike or, whatever. Well, who's that? And they're disengaged, right? And they have no idea, of a company like us. Then you're kind of handicapped, right? Because then you're kind of forced because that tobacconist wasn't willing to say, well, let me look into it and kind of figure out, because, as a consumer, you've signaled to the retailer tobacconist that, hey, I'm interested in this, right? Then they call the manufacturer and go, hey, I need to get an account. I've got a guy that's looking for, this, and this. And then I got to go, well, I'm to open up an account with me, you got to do all this other stuff. And like, well, I don't want to do all that shit. Fuck that guy. It's not worth it. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, now they got to go online to the people or somebody who can mail order or mail ship or whatever, or hopefully they'll find someone like Penny that can drop ship or, handle it over the phone and get it to you. But that there's a disconnect in that part, right? Because, as far as, you go into certain, from a manufacturer perspective, so Romacraft only makes 1 million cigars a year, right? Which is not a lot. And to kind of put that in perspective, Drew Estate's probably doing 75 million a year, right? So, and that's, it could be more now that, the Blackened series and Willie's cigar and the stuff that they do with, Sweet Jane, Mary Jane stuff, and Deadwood, and you go on and on and on. Like they're pumping out a lot of cigars, right? And all different classes of cigars, flavored to everything else. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just they've gotten to a level to where the demand for what they're doing it's a monster. So a retailer or a tobacconist likes that because they don't really have to hand sell anything. People come in, they grab a scoop of it, they go to the register, they check it out, and they get out, right? And so there's kind of this shift into, and I get it. Would you rather sell handfuls of cigars to people that just come in, buy their stuff, and leave? Or would you have to sell 1 or 2 cigars to somebody and hope, so you're either trying to look for a customer for life or you want the volume, right? Or do you want the
Right.
mixture of both? And that's really, so I've got a customer out of Arizona, Fine Ash, Sam and Rosie, really good friends of ours. So I've vacationed with them. We've traveled with them. They used to be really, really boutique. They opened up a cigar bar in over by the Arizona Cardinals, football stadium. And now it's basically, there's a line of people, trying to ring in and get the cigars and go, drink and smoke. To have a conversation piece about, Room 101 or Caldwell or Foundation or Saka or whatever, like you can't have that conversation because guys are just, they want to go get their cigar, get lit, and go sit down and drink. And so there's a shift, maybe, between 2 and 5 o'clock you can have that conversation, but once the bars, the music's on and the, whatever, like it's so you hope that you have a good enough, kind of a brand established in that situation where people just come in and they're grabbing your cigar out of the humidor and it's part of the rotation. But that comes after doing multiple events and being in the humidor pretty frequently, having a good, relationship with the customers. So the customers are then telling people like, oh, go grab that cigar. That's, I just saw them smoking, the Aquitaine on this podcast. Let's try that one. So you hope you do enough to keep that conversation going to do your part of it, right? Because what's happened is no one gives 2 rats ass that we make a cigar between $7 to $10 that's available and as good as it's going to get. What'd you pay for the Whiskey Rebellion you're smoking today?
Hell, I don't know, Mike. I've slept since then.
$8, $9, $7.50?
Probably $8 or $9. Yeah.
Right. So, on one side, I often hear, why would I sell your $8 cigar and make, a couple bucks on that when I can sell, XYZ that are $20, $25 cigars, and I can make 2X amount of money on my, so if they're going to come in and buy one cigar and have 2 or 3 drinks, I would rather sell them the $20-ish cigar and sell them 2 cocktails and charge them $75 versus the $10 cigar and a beer. You know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah.
So,
and it's
difficult. Go ahead.
But I say it's great you bring this up because with my tobacconist, these guys know that I like to frequent a place called Thick Ash Cigar. And anytime I'm trying to source something specific, I will go call him first. Now, he does have a smaller humidor, but he is so open to listening to what you're asking for.
Sure.
So when I called him about Romacraft, he was like, unfortunately, I've never heard of them, but you need to tell me a little bit about it. So I explained, I was like, I like Romacraft. I've had a couple of them. They're really good cigars. I'm trying to get one for the podcast I'm doing. And he was like, all right, describe the band to me. Let me know what it's like. I'll see if I can reach out to him. Let's see what we can do for you. Okay. And I was like, that's great. And he's done that every time I've asked him. And if he doesn't have something, he's been like, yes, I carried that, but it didn't move very well. So I stopped carrying it because, again, I have limited room. But he is so open. And, shout out to Tim at Thick Ash because he is all about his customers. He wants you to come in. He wants you to have a good time. He wants you to, smoke good products.
No, that's great.
So